Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us on QTV Prime Time News. Time for our discussion, the Supreme Battle. Now, the highest court on the land yesterday witnessed a beehive of activities as EAS received 9 presidential election petitions. The petitions were submitted before 2 p.m. as required by the Constitution. Most of the petitions filed seeks to overturn President-Elect William Ruto's victory, and with the lineup in the Apex Court, the judges will give their verdict on September 5th, 2022. So what are the possibilities of this outcome, and what will be the implications? Joining me for the discussion as we find the answers are Pigbin Odimwengu, who is a revolutionist and former presidential candidate, together with Jepton Onyango, a political analyst and forex trader. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us for this discussion. All right, now, Pigbin Odimwengu, probably let us just start with you. We understand that yesterday a number of petitions were filed at the Supreme Court. Of course, most of them seeking to challenge the victory that was given to the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto. So, of course, because you are also in the presidential race in the year 2022, what do you feel about these petitions? What importance do they have in the political landscape of the country?
Oh, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. I'll say that in regards to the petitions in court, especially in the Supreme Court, there have been so many petitions that have been filed against IEBC in the process in between, before even the voting process of presidential candidates, and even after the vetting process. But you see, the Constitution did not allow a petition to Supreme Court until election is done. But there have been so many petitions in court that have been challenging, including the conduct of Chebukati himself, IEBC credibility, even remember including the ID requirement that was posed to us, that of course eliminated us technically. So I'll say that now that the Constitution requires that only presidential election petition should be, of course, considered at the Supreme Court. That's why many petitions came out to the Supreme Court since now election was done. But this doesn't mean that they haven't been having these petitions even in other lower courts before. That's what I can tell you. All
right. Now, Jepton, on your side, you are seeing the Azimio la Umoja camp, of course, heading to, of course, they are already in the highest court in the land, seeking justice, claiming that the win that was declared to the Deputy President-elect William Ruto should be nullified. What do you think of this petition?
Yeah, thank you again, Ken. It's really an honor to be here. I feel this is a great critical path as a country. This is a sensitive matter. As a country, we need to know that. On my end, I feel as if the petition will have a very crucial impact, in the sense that this democracy we are fighting for the next 10 years, the next 20 years from now, right now, we can be able to know, like, in case we have any challenge maybe or allegations with the election, you can file a petition. And yeah, it's a path for democracy. Yeah? So I feel as if this critical moment we are in right now is a crucial moment. The world is watching us. I can see Financial Times, so many news on Kenya right now, and it will play a lot even in terms of our economy. Yeah? We can see what's happening with our currency. It's weakening. From January till now, it has been weakening 5%. Yeah. So, like I said, sensitive matter. We really need to be cautious with it. It reminds me of 2007, what happened. Yeah, claimed a lot of lives, 1,200 lives. So we really need to handle it very, very critically and maturely. Yeah?
All right. Yes. Oh, now, Pigbin, maybe just to get back to you, because you are in this presidential race, and it's unfortunate that you didn't make it to the ballot. But of these petitions that were filed at the Supreme Court, we understand that most of them, the respondents named in most of these petitions were IEBC. At some points, of course, we have the chairman of the electoral body of Chebukati also being sued at an individual capacity. So that raises the question, of course, on the electoral body. What is your perception of this electoral body? Was it fair in the whole process? Another thing is, what do you feel, I mean, just from the beginning, when they were doing the vetting of these presidential aspirants until they held the elections, what do you make of the whole process of the voting, which was overseen by the IEBC?
Thank you once again. I'll tell you that I've never trusted Chebukati for a long period of time. And I support the petitions that want to hold Chebukati accountable. And now a number of presidential aspirants did resort to even petition commissioners at an individual capacity. Because you cannot misuse an office, then expect that your office should protect you. We need to take individual responsibility. Last time when the election was nullified, the responsibility went to IEBC subordinate.
Right.
But the Chebukati himself did not get personal accountability and responsibility. So the fact that now the petitions are directing to him as an individual is positive. It should make him feel that he's not protected by his office, but his deeds are actually must be accountable for. You see? I'll tell you, for example, when they brought this requirement that we must produce the photocopies of IDs.
Right.
This has been in law, of course, in the 2012 Election Act, but has never been implemented. The question is, why did they not implement this 2013, 2017, and why did they introduce it in 2022? I'm telling you, I picked my ballot papers, the booklets for signature collection. We bought that requirement of IDs. 1.5 weeks, close to 2 weeks to the deadline, is when they said that we produce the copies of IDs. Where were we to get it? Of course, we had challenged this before in court, and Justice Mirima said that it was constitutional because it was in constitution. But on the grounds that another ruling by Justice Mirima nullified that requirement was based on the Data Protection Act. And we had complained this when we met as presidential aspirant meeting the returning officer. We told him that he should do away with the ID requirement. He went ahead and did that. In fact, after the court ruled that the requirement for IDs was unconstitutional, it meant that there was no constitutionally proven presidential candidate. Because how do you get candidates out of an constitutional requirement?
Right.
What they did, they moved to court to ask for a stay order that now allowed them conduct an election. If there was no stay order, we could not have candidates now for this election. Apart from that, how comes that the test run that was done in their system proved that there was 59% error towards June? Tell me, 5 years you're running a system that is having 59% error, and it was 2 months to election. Out of that, you realize there was also another case of some other 800,000 voters who were transferred illegally. You remember that?
Absolutely.
And they said that they were going to resolve that. So personally, I felt that IEBC was not prepared, and they had wasted our money for 5 years not to still be prepared for another election. And I personally ask citizens, I'll tell you, and I'm open to say this, I didn't vote because I felt that election is not a Christmas day that you wake up because it's a Christmas day and vote.
Right.
Election goes along with the credibility of the process. It's not just a ritual or a circumcision that you're 18 years, you must go for it. But the credibility of the process must be assured first before you come out and cast your vote. Because you've been having your vote for 5 years, waiting for the opportune time.
Right.
Then when that time is not opportune to you, and somebody feel like it's a ritual, you cannot just wake up and sanitize an illegal process that are already prepared for. So I felt even from the beginning that IEBC was not prepared. And we asked them and allowed them, okay, just go ahead and do your whatever, we'll come back for this. So I think it's the right time that Chebukati himself as an individual must be accountable for decisions there. Because I believe he's been conducting his decision at an individual capacity, not at a commissioner level of consultation. So you cannot hold a whole body of commissions accountable for somebody's responsibility.
All right. Oh, now, you, of course, maybe Jackson, you also seeing, he was in the race, of course, for presidency, and he gives a deep scrutiny of this whole process. But now, of course, with you at an individual level, I'm not sure whether you voted because Pegwin has told us that he didn't vote, you know. Okay, this is interesting. So, of course, a number of issues have started rising from these 2022 general elections. You voted, meaning you had some trust and faith in this electoral process. What do you feel of this electoral process, these the general elections? Was IEBC really prepared for this process? Because the international observers, of course, drawn from the country and internationally, they lauded the process, saying that the 2022 election was one of its kind, free, fair, and credible. What is your perception of this whole process, the 2022 elections?
Yeah, personally, I'm glad, I'm proud of what he did, not in terms of voting, but the courage he had as a youth. We were just there on the guest room. He was telling me he was one of the presidential aspirants.
Right.
So I was like, wow, he really wanted. So he explained the challenges he had. I think that's something courageous. For me personally, I voted because I believe if you want change, you have to go maybe and do your democratic right, which is voting. So in case maybe we have issues, we know we usually have procedures to solve the issues as a country.
Right.
So my responsibility as a Kenyan citizen, one is to vote. So I did that. We were waiting for the results like anybody else. So that's now, in case we have any challenge, that's up now to the court. So like the next 14 days, as a country, are going to see the best lawyers in the country. They're going to tackle the petition. As we have the Azimio side, they're saying the allegations they're claiming. So on my end, I did my civil duty. So the guys who are involved in maybe the petition and the cases, let them do their job. Whatever outcome that will come out of that, we as a country need to accept it. We don't want to go back where we were before. Yes, so that's my individual perspective.
All right.
Yes.
Now, Pigmin, we have this case in the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. But with these issues that have emanated from these elections, now, what is your feeling, rather, because I want you to represent now the electorates moving forward. Will they be having faith and trusting this electoral body to conduct, in as much as, yes, this could be the last election. Of course, it is the last election Chebukati is overseeing. When it comes to now faith of the electorates in casting, in participating in the democratic process, will it be same experience? Will they be approaching it positively as probably they should in every other election?
I will tell you, that's why I insisted on the credibility of the process. Or you cannot undergo a process that you don't get a result or certify you. Of course, I advise citizens that if you trust Chebukati, I was very clear, not if you trust the candidates. If you trust Chebukati, go cast your vote and accept the results. Because you trusted him. Accept the results. If you don't trust Chebukati, abstain from that election. Because you don't trust him. I think when you saw that the voter turnout was, of course, is inflated, as they're saying from their figures, but close to 50% of people not turning out to vote is a loud message. In fact, people feel that they didn't exercise their democratic right. They exercised their democratic right. They used the ballot and boycotted the ballot to send a message that they feel. That there was no opportunity time they could send that message apart from the ballot. It's a message that we must go deep down and ask why.
Sure, because in this election we actually experienced a lot of voter apathy.
Yes.
Comparing it with the 2017 elections, the 2013 elections, you could see, you could go to the polling stations, you find long queues of voters really waiting to cast their ballots, but it was a bit different in the 2022 election. So could it be that this is the main reason why we are seeing a lot of apathy in this election?
One is that the body that governs the election. Do you really trust the body? If you don't trust the body, you abstain from that. Second thing, is very funny that you've been having candidates who have been campaigning for the last almost 5 years, but still could not convince people to come out and vote them. What does that mean? They're the same monkeys, and therefore you don't see any difference. So why should you wake up in the morning, put somebody to a position where he will lie to you again? What has happened is that there has been betrayal out of the leadership that keep on lying to citizens over a period of time until citizens are sure that this is another lie. You see? And it is very critical that we need to reorganize ourselves and actually reactivate the faith of this individual to the process. That's what we need to be concerned with. How do you actually sanitize the electoral body to ensure that people can turn out and vote? And how do you also groom our leadership? Because we have leaders who are almost perennial liars, and therefore, despite of their popularity, I'll tell you, Raila and Ruto were the most popular candidate in this country than ever in any election.
Right.
But still, people could not come out and vote them. Was the problem, you see. Apart from, of course, the daily challenges, and I think IEBC need also to move forward. Is it right time we think of digital voting? Because even you check in the registration of voters, you realize that youth only register 38% of them. 38% of them registered voters, and those are the youth, who are 65 to 75% in this country.
Yes.
I'm sure out of 38 who registered, only 20% may be voted. Why? You see, we were over 10 of us trying to be presidential aspirants as youth. None of us succeeded, you see. So there has been now only 17, around 17 youth who have been elected out of the total majority. So you feel that if this process cannot actually resonate with you, you don't have a need to wake up and do that. So we need to check that moving forward. How do we reignite the faith of the people? And that goes along with bringing citizens to be active citizens. It means we must now put this government accountable moving forward. We should not leave them for another 5 years.
Right.
After 100 days, let's go check the manifesto. Have they implemented whatever they want? And I know the opposition is almost becoming weak daily, and that's a challenge we are facing. That you buy opposition for handshake, you sleep together with the opposition. So we, the citizens, must come out actually to hold our country and leadership accountable so that we can bring back the faith. That's, I think, what's necessary.
All right. That's interesting. Pig Bean. Now, Jackson, the case is in the highest courts in the land. And there are a number of possibilities, of course, on the verdict that we could get from this apex court. I mean, from the thematic expressions that these petitions has been filed on, because a number of issues, of course, have been raised. One, we have the issue of quoted in terms of the commissioners when they were declaring the presidential-elect, and a number of issues. We've of course seen the 50+1, some people arguing that no candidate met the threshold of the 50+1. So what do you feel is fair for the court to determine? Which ruling, which verdict do you think will be very fair for everyone and for the country, of course, moving forward with the number of issues that have emanated in this election? What will be the fairest thing for the court to rule in this petition?
Like I said, thanks, Ken. So I was reading the newspaper. Like I said, all eyes are on us. Like right now, most global nations are looking at us. These are big competitors. We had William Ruto, who gained like 6 million votes. We also have Raila Odinga, who got like 6 million votes too. So it's a tight race when you come to look at it even mathematically. So I will think the fairest decision. I mean, it's of course it's up to the apex cycle. It's up to them. Yes. Considering what we have gone through as a country, considering maybe the economic problems we have, this matter, of course, should be solved as fast as possible and fairest. Something that, in my opinion, I feel the decision should be very fair in a way that it will unify the whole nation,
Right.
Not something discriminative, not something one-sided. And I believe they have the tools required maybe to do that. These are guys who have done this before. So let's wait upon
the judges, of course, to give the verdict.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
All right. Of course, and you're really touching on the economic and the economic aspect of this country. Of course, you understand. Of course, you deal with the currencies, and you read the economy in and out. Of course, we'll get into that just in a minute. I want to give you a minute, Pig Bean. Because you are in the race, and we have this matter in court, and a number of petitions have been filed. What do you feel is the most fairest thing to be done? Do you see probably the 2017, the decision that was made that nullified Uhuru Kenyatta's win, or should it be just sustained that Ruto is the presidential-elect, or we have fresh elections? And of course, this will also raise questions on the credibility of the body that will be conducting this process. What do you feel is the most fairest thing that the court, the highest court in the land, should give us a verdict?
If I was to be one of the judges, One, this process was unfair right from the vetting. So if the process has to be repeated, let's start from the vetting. How are we eliminated? Let's start again from there. If they can't do that ordering of a fresh start of the vetting, the best thing they need to check again is to ensure that each commissioner is accountable. Let them pass charges to each commissioner, including Chebukati. Out of that, if he's to be arrested for 10 years or 5 years, he should be.
Right.
Actually.
Okay.
The second thing is on the results. The third thing, on the results. One, they either nullify the results, and if they nullify result, it means that there's somebody guilty and they have found some evidence. Then if you found some evidence worth enough to nullify the results, how about those people who committed that offense?
Right.
If Chebukati is involved in that offense, he must be charged. If Ruto was involved in that offense because he's part of the petition, he must also be charged, not only be allowed to go for another rerun, he must be charged. You see? If the last thing, if they can order for recount as me is asking, let them do the recount before the court. Let them, as me present the votes they feel it's not right, and let them defend. If they cannot defend, let those votes be removed so that you have the results from there and then you move on as a country. But I think that we should not, of course, also think of economy that much, because election is a very serious thing.
Absolutely.
So even beyond our economy or above our economy, the election is very serious. You see, so we need to ensure that we fix this thing once and for all. We should not rush. Let's have a clear decision that everybody can feel is fair for them. Because at the end of the day, now there are people who are feeling that they will never vote again. Their vote doesn't count. So let's have a unity and a decision that's perfect. But if it was to be me, let's start from the vetting. Because if it was wrong from the vetting, the court had pronounced and said that it was unconstitutional requirement for IDs. Then let's start from there. Let's not end to the 10. And I've asked them, even this country, I've been asking them most of the press briefing, that if you don't trust Chebukati, abstain from the election. Raila did that before. Why did he not abstain from this election if he didn't trust? But now he's coming to cry. We were waiting for him to cry. So it's the right time so that we come together.
All right.
Yes.
Interesting. My director is telling me that we need to wind this up. And probably in winding up, Jackton, I would want you to, give us advice, because now from this economic aspect, in as much as, yes, all the attentions are on these elections, but we need to soldier on economically. But things are not moving because, politics moves everything in a way. What are the implications, of course, of this petition that we are having in the country? And what is the best way forward? What is the best strategy that, we can have as Kenyans so that, we are not dragged behind by politics in terms of economy?
Yeah, I think we just need to focus on the critical issues. Globally, we are in a mess. Also, as a country, we are all aware of what's happening globally. We have inflation all over. The US CPI data was out 8.5%. That's not something good, yeah. So we need to focus on the critical issues. Of course, the high dollar, when the dollar is strong, it kind of affects even the importers and the exporters of this country, making the high cost even of production to our local farmers, yeah. We have seen Kenya shilling decrease by 5.5% from January, if I'm not wrong, from January. So that should be an alarm call. We should be focusing on the critical areas. Yeah, of course, this is an election period, so we understand. Of course, we had the COVID period, also the Russian-Ukraine thing kind of affected.
Sure.
Yes. So we have a lot, like I said, globally, locally. So we need to focus on things that will help us as a country economically before we run into a mess or a recession, rather. Yeah.
Right.
So key sectors, the guys who are involved, make sure you do what you're supposed to do, and all that. You've seen the dollar Kenya shillings currently trading at, is it 119?
119, yes.
Yeah, that's very high. Yeah. So we have companies like Trading Economics, which are forecasting. We might even retest levels as 121. Of course, when our Kenya shilling or our local currency is decreasing in value, it's not something good. It's not something we should be proud of. So like I said, we're in a mess as a country. We're also in a mess globally. So the leaders who are involved in our institution need to focus on increasing more outputs, yeah?
Right.
Yes, exactly.
All
I think with that, we'll be good to go, yeah?
All right.
Yes.
Penguin, I'll just give you a minute to wind up, because you command a followership of revolutionaries who would want to have this country at the best place. What message do you have for the electorates and the citizens as large, even as this court is in the apex court?
My last message will be simple. Raila Odinga has been claimed to be the system project. I'll call him system. William Ruto is a system orphan. They are all system. Let them mess their life. They have messed our life, and we cannot continue fighting for them because they've already messed our life. So what I'll tell the citizens, stay calm, move on with their life, struggle, leave them fight their own fight. After all, they are all political cousins, and they have caused us to be in this mess now. So stop and forget about them. Whether Ruto or Raila will win, forget about those people. Let's focus on our life, and let's come up with a new system that can help us. So let's be peaceful, let's coexist, let's love each other, let's go on with our businesses. But one thing we must remind them, we will not allow them to mess our life after even this ruling.
All right, and that's it from the Supreme Battle discussion, having my guest Jackton and Big Bin, one of the presidential contestants, of course, in this 2022 election, in as much as, yes, he wasn't in the ballot, but he's still in the race, moving, of course, to have the right thing done in the country, having the best wishes, of course, for us as a nation. With that, let us take a break. We shall be coming back with sports news.